Okay, we're going to begin here. Welcome all. Today is March 19th, 2019, to the Trade, Travel, and Tourism Committee. Chairman Joe Buscaino, Committee of One today. So all items will be sent to Council as a communication from the Chair. Therefore, we don't need to take public comment here. We will close public comment. Well, I don't think we need to open it, right? Okay. So with that, thank you all for joining us. A couple meaty items. We will approve 3 through 6 on consent. I want to take items 1 and 2 as discussion items. And we have recommendation from the mayor to appoint Mr. Nicholas Roxborough. Please come forward on item number 1. If you read that item into the record, please, John.
Sir, good afternoon. John White, City Clerk's Office. Item 1, communication from the mayor relative to the appointment of Mr. Nicholas Roxborough to the Board of Airport Commissioners for the term ending June 30, 2020 to fill a vacancy created by the resignation of Mr. Jeff Darr.
Thank you, and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tell us a little about yourself and why you'd like to serve on the Board of Airport Commissioners.
So, come from a background of wanting to do public policy. I'm a lawyer, have my own firm called Roxborough Apartments 9A Journey. Familiar with a lot of the legal issues. Served on the police permit panel for the mayor, currently at El Pueblo. The mayor called me about a month ago, and it was quite a surprise to be appointed to this sort of commission and running and being involved in hopefully making the Los Angeles airport a world-class airport, and I think the phrase is, and a first-class neighbor is a mission statement.
Would say that, right.
and I know how many people come to LAX and are disappointed that it doesn't represent this great city. I'm from San Francisco, and I think I moved here as a young guy to go to law school because I viewed LA as one day being in New York or the West Coast. Mm-hmm. So we need to get to that level.
Well, there's a lot happening at the airport. As we know, item number 2, we have Ms. Flint, who's going to be reporting on some activities taking place. Big responsibility. What's your vision in the next year or so as a airport commissioner? What do you see yourself?
Probably learning. I mean, I've spoken to enough folks. I was there at the People Mover event last week, and I asked, and they said it takes about a year to learn the lingo, learn your way around. I'm usually a pretty low-key guy in the beginning, then I get pretty involved, and then I'll probably want to look at some subcommittees to help out
Fantastic.
On, in addition to just going to the weekly, or bi-monthly rather, meetings. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you. Anything else you want to add?
No, just an honor, and thanks for doing this.
It's an awesome responsibility.
Yeah.
One of the busiest airports in the country, and we're seeing a $14 billion investment in the infrastructure with the LAMP project, so you'll be in good hands with the leadership of the port, and your colleagues are great commissioners as well.
Yeah, no, I had an opportunity to meet most of them. They're amazing.
Yes.
Very humbling.
Thank you for your service to our city, and I'm really looking forward to presenting you in front of full council. When is that, John? Do we know?
Mr. Roxborough is scheduled for council next Tuesday, March 26th.
Next Tuesday.
Okay,
so we'll approve this appointment from Mayor Garcetti, and looking forward to seeing you next week in council.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Take care, sir.
Bye.
Thank you. Okay, item number 2.
Item 2, Chief Executive Officer, Los Angeles World Airports, to report relative to the status of department operations, finances, capital improvement projects, public safety and security, planning, technology, marketing, promotions, and other activities pursuant to motion. Buscaino, Bond.
Thank you. It was good to see you last week in our Access DC in Washington, D.C., and you and Board President Burton roaming the halls of Congress and pounding on doors at the Senator's office. And Deborah, thank you so much for your ongoing commitment and leadership to our amazing airport. And we hope that you had a fruitful time in D.C., and they are well aware of who we are and what's happening in light of the investment that's taking place in the National League of Cities. The main mission for us as the vice president of the organization was to lean on Congress to rebuild with us. That was our motto and hashtag, rebuild with us, on infrastructure projects and seeking a long-term infrastructure package bill that's going to help municipalities around the country. And we're saying we're doing it already. And we're highlighting the work both at the port and the airport on infrastructure investments. And I'll turn it to you. We have this periodic CEO update. And with that, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Councilman, and thank you always for how you championing what we're doing here and with National League of Cities when they were here, and they're rallying around airports and airport infrastructure as well.
Yes.
That was a big part of our message last week in Washington, D.C. Airports today still have a passenger facility charge that's worth 50% of the original buying power of when it was first authorized, and it's an important source of funding, obviously for LAX, but also just for airports across the country. We're part of an aviation system of airports where we need a strong industry for the business and the economics to thrive. So thank you for all that you have championed
There
for
was
us.
some concerns of the 800 max issue, and some of our members almost were stranded in D.C.
We worked it out.
Thankfully, I don't think we were impacted.
We were
not impacted. We were all able to get out.
Accommodated.
Good.
We actually commended the airlines. They probably saw that it was coming and were able to reposition their aircraft.
You're going to be on, Commissioner-elect, if you're going to be on one aircraft on the way home, it'd be the one with Deborah Flint, let me be honest.
They were like, you made the call, Deborah? Just make the call. So kind of speaking about the health of our industry, you can see here, where we ended up last year to 2018. It was, continuing for us to be in a very good position of strength, and obviously that's important. The movement of passenger and goods, through an airport in a city, if it's not efficient and effective, then it's obviously a barrier to economic prosperity. And we're continuing to see the strength of this city and its economy be reflected in the activity of the airport. And we continue to work to make sure that that can be enabled. It was another record year in terms of passengers with 87.5 million. We actually recently got the global numbers, and this puts us now in fourth position in terms of the busiest airports in the world by passenger activity, jumping over Tokyo. That says a lot for a U.S. airport because global aviation outside of the U.S. is really very, very strong and continues to grow at a faster pace than U.S. aviation. So it's meaningful that we moved up that global position.
Nice.
I do expect that this next year we're going to see some tempered growth. Our outlook of the market and different routes and the airline schedules say that we're still going to be in a growth position, but we'll probably see a reduction in the fervor of the growth that we've had over the last few years. Some particular areas probably reducing some of their capacity, whether that's Mexico. We're starting to see that there is a strong, probably too much of a market built up in a short amount of time in Mexico. And then, of course, we're all aware of some of the global economic slowdown in China, and we may see some again, kind of curating of some of the routes that exist in those areas. But we will still be in a very positive growth position year over year. One of the things that you and this committee expect and the mayor expects is for us to develop the airport and place infrastructure, but at the same time improve the guest experience. That is one of the 4 goals of our strategic plan. We're actively working on that, obviously through the infrastructure investments we're making, but more so we know it's about the people. And we have trained, of the 50,000 people that work across the entire campus, 10,000 of those have gone through our guest experience training program, recognizing that when a passenger and a guest arrives at the airport, they may have suffered through a lengthy travel, they're stressed, they may not necessarily know where they're going, and the people that actually work in baggage claim or on the curb or at the ticket counters or in our concessions can make a huge difference in the experience that that person has and their feeling of comfort. And what you've seen is actually us continuing to rise. We actually should show 2015, the stats from before. 4 years ago, we were in the bottom 10th percentile for Skytrack's global airport rankings. We've moved up 26 places in these last 4 years. Really, it's because of the focus on the people and the guest experience.
Sure.
And this past year, we were, for the first time ever, listed in Wall Street Journal's top 10 best airports in the U.S. So we're making progress. It's not going to...
Back to the guest experience. My neighbor Tom is a volunteer at the airport.
Oh, it was our volunteer.
So tell me your volunteer corps and how they contribute to the overall guest
We have
experience.
several. One of
Thanks
our-
for keeping them busy, too.
We definitely keep them busy. We have kind of two cores that I think are very important. One is called our GEMS, and they work in our operations department. You will see them deployed at our information booths and also roving through the terminals to look for people that look like they need help, providing them wayfinding information, or just if they look like they're distressed, finding them resources to help and assist them and guide them. But one of our most popular volunteer programs is through our PUPS program, and these are individuals with their own dogs and that put their dog through a very intense selection process to become a LAX pup, and they're the most adorable dogs that that probably exist. It's funny, but whenever we do media or we travel and we bring up the PUPS programs, like one of the most engaging programs that people enjoy at LAX. So I'm not sure which one he is in.
He's a gem.
He's a gem.
He's definitely a gem, yeah.
Both very, very important.
Yeah, fantastic.
Obviously, last week, thank you for everything that you did and this committee did and the council to support two of the largest contracts ever in City of Los Angeles history being awarded. Again, two P3s that are life cycle minded in our development approach. We are well underway. We obviously had the groundbreaking for the APM last week. And while most of the focus is still on the design of the APM and completing the design elements, we are seeing the team there start to do some light construction, utility relocation, site preparation, et cetera. The intensity of construction will begin in late summer to early fall, and then obviously will be very intense over the next 3 years before all of the structures around the APM are complete in 2022. We're excited also, of course, with the award of the Consolidated Rent-A-Car Facility, and we are working on scheduling that groundbreaking in summer also as they get closer to kicking off construction work.
Any concerns of potential delays?
Not yet.
Okay.
This is
No delays. No delays.
The
Hashtag that.
developer,
No delays.
At this point, the developer remains very committed to the March 2023 opening date. At the groundbreaking, the mayor was impressing upon them that they should try to do it earlier, and I think they received that message. It's going to be very challenging. We obviously have to keep the airport operational during this intense construction, which goes right down the center of the airport. The bridges go right across all of our airport roadways.
I read
Some have to
my
come down.
colleague Mike Bond painted a clear picture. It's like open heart surgery, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
moving
While the
a
patient
lot.
is running, I think there have been a lot of analogies. So it's going to be intensive, but this is one of the reasons we hired a world-class team that is experienced in infrastructure to work with us and deliver this and keep the airport operational and keep us growing. There are series of other capital development projects. I just want to remind that when you look across the entire footprint, we have several other mega projects defined at $1 billion or more. Obviously, with all of our airline partners, I'm always mindful to say that, they are investing the construction funds and the leadership to run the projects with us. But at the end of the day, those assets are bought back by LAWA. Hence, the importance of funding from the federal government and through PFCs remains important. Last night, we had a community open house on our North Side Development Program. It was extremely well attended. I believe about 300 people attended because this is such an opportunity for both development of new business near a world-class and global airport, but also, again, the agreement with the community has provided for open space and an inviting environment for the community to be engaged in.
Wonderful.
And there's a lot of excitement about that.
Good.
Innovation, I know is something that you're continuing to be interested in, and there's just a snapshot here of all of the ways that we are leading the industry and leading the country relative to innovation. This is
Deborah,
all
I'm sorry.
Yes,
A project update. Terminal 9, is that on our radar?
absolutely.
It is. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We are working in developing the scope of that project, what the potential deal could be.
Still preliminary.
Still very preliminary work, but it's something we're actively working on.
Sorry about that.
Back on innovation, just
Yeah.
to share a few. This year, one of the most high-profile innovation projects we'll do is a self-baggage drop in Bradley. Again, today's traveling public wants to be in charge of their experience, their ability to use biometrics to drop off their bags and not have to wait in a ticket counter line is a great customer service amenity, but also given the congestion that we have on the terminal side of Bradley, it will make using that facility more efficient as well. And again, one of the conversations last week in DC is continuing to work with all of the federal agencies so that they're aligned on the biometric platform, and it can be more and more seamless, not just at LAX, but at airports across the country.
And on the innovation piece, we flagged a smart parking improvement, working with Justin on that piece. We can learn from other outdoor, indoor malls with license plate readers. Is that on
That is on
the
our
horizon as well?
That is on our radar, and
Okay.
that's one of the things we'll be looking at through our innovation on our pilot program.
Okay.
Right now we do still have cashier-based parking lot exits. So, being able to offer valet services, pre-booking services, information before you enter the lot as to where the spaces are that are available or if they're not spaces. All of those are very important, not just for the customer experience, but for us managing the traffic in the CTA before the train is opened. Because that can help improve and speed the process of people either even coming into the CTA in the first place or not.
They also launched a more affordable parking lot.
Yes.
I heard that this morning
Yes.
coming in.
Lot E is going to be launched and opened on the 28th of March, and we're starting to do the publicity about that.
Is there any
and
application?
It's a super economy lot, so it's very affordable.
Yeah, it's $12 a day.
Yes, it's
nothing.
still the same rate as 2009, so very affordable because it is further away, and so there's a longer shuttle bus. But one of the things we typically have is a capacity constraint on the number of parking slots.
But to be able to
Yeah.
imagine having an app before
Yes.
you even go to
Right.
that lot.
To pre-book.
Pre-book, all that. Good
That
stuff.
is our vision. Community inclusivity continues to be a major focus of ours. It's just, the stories, Councilman, about the class and the students that are in our higher LAX program continue just to astound. And I have heard directly and unsolicited on my behalf of how great the quality of these workers are once they have graduated from the program. When I was touring MSC a few weeks ago, the superintendent expressly pulled me aside to say, these students and graduates were some of the best workers on the
That's
job.
good to hear.
And so, lives are really meaningfully being changed, not just on a project basis, but the fact that these students and graduates now actually have future careers for the rest of their lives in the construction environment. So we're very, very pleased about that.
We also
Much
celebrated
more to do.
in front of council. We celebrated the local hire piece here, and a chunk of those folks are being employed by LAWA. So
I believe we lead all the other departments.
Yes.
Not that we're that competitive.
Mike
but
Bondon reminds me of that. What's your port doing on the targeted local hire piece?
Yes, we're very, very committed, and we're
Work on that one, Jen.
fortunate that we can
Okay.
we can support this. So you mentioned what we were doing in Washington last week, the Metroplex related issues in communities surrounding Van Nuys, but also here closer to the airport through West Adams continues to be a major focal point of ours with the FAA. The FAA has a lot on its plate today. And frankly, we really saw that last week when we were in Washington. But it's our job to make sure that they're paying attention to us. And we left the meetings in D.C. Knowing that they had a better understanding of how important this was to us. And I expect them to be responsive as they can be.
Nice.
And we're going to continue to keep pushing on them to remedy, without creating new problems, the issues that we know surface because of Metroplex.
Appreciate that. As you know, in this committee, a number of the residents have expressed concerns over the flight patterns and the noise. So, and back to NLC, I know we do have a noise committee that oversees some of these concerns in airports nationwide.
But happy to provide
Appreciate that.
briefing from our perspective, if that could be helpful.
Thank you for that.
with LLC also.
Good deal.
Right. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Deborah. Appreciate your report. let's just actually continue this, and we'll see you our next go-around. So that's our last item, but before we adjourn, I do want to recognize Jen Cohen, who's here, and she's the Port of LA's newest, I don't know, Director of Government Affairs? Did I promote you? Oh, you did? Oh, okay. Director of Policy and Legislative Affairs. Thanks, Jen. And this is a building that's no stranger, right, to you, coming from the Department of Transportation. So we welcome you and look forward to working with you. And congratulations on your appointment. And just give Eric Martell a hard time. Make sure you do that. That's your number one assignment. So with that, we are now adjourned, and thank you all for joining us. We'll see you next time.